Hi, I'm attorney Dave Maldonado, a seasoned litigator with over a decade of experience in Montana. Have you been injured in a car accident? If so, remember insurance companies want to give you as little money as possible. There's a reason why they have the biggest buildings in the largest cities. Don't let big insurance bully you. Visit BigSkyDefender.com today to see how I can help you get fair compensation for your injuries. The consultation's free and the fight's real.
Well, it's great to be back. A day away from football. I know this is always to me, the most exciting time for a football coach. You look at it in the whole of a year, and as you transition from July to August, and you have the fall camp in front of you, the work that's been put in behind you, just an exciting time for us. And we have high expectations. We have a lot of guys returning. But we have some unproven entities too, and that's as you head into August, with May, June, and July behind you, it's fun to see how much guys have continued to change through the summer, and just where those new guys will ultimately fit in as you prepare to play in September. And addressing the high expectations, that's where we want to be. I think the rankings and all that are a reflection of where we finished the last couple of years and what we return. And I'd rather be in that position where we finished higher and we return a lot of guys than the other side. And beyond that, those rankings don't mean a whole lot. You got to go out on a daily basis and live up to the expectations that you create for yourselves. And I know, this team, a lot of guys that have been, on a pretty big stage the last couple of years are anxious to get back into those opportunities to play into December, but understand full well, what's in front of us right now is having the best, 3 weeks here, a fall camp before we start school, and then transition into the first opponent, which is Utah Tech, and keep it as simple as that. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
You guys have been one of the top teams in the country for 4 or 5 years in a row now. So what do you think is the gap that puts you over the top? What is the thing you guys need to do to get better than you have been?
Well, that's a loaded question, because if you simply go back to how each season's ended the last 2 years, I think you would point to the offensive defensive line just being able to win that battle in those particular games. But I think it's about this team. It's about this team creating momentum, this team creating its own identity, and while we can really build off of what we've done, in particular the last couple of years, this team's going to be different, and it's our hope that no matter what the situation is on any given Saturday, we can come out on top. And there's so much there's size, there's strength, there's speed that goes into that, there's schemes that go into that, but there's a belief and a playing for one another that is that mental component that we've focused quite a bit on in this off season. So it's certainly the physical component's right there. In each of the last 2 seasons, we have been physically defeated, whether it was South Dakota State the year before, or last year, or North Dakota State the year before. But for us to keep moving forward, we got to get bigger and stronger and all that, but we got to continue to find ways through the regular season to believe in one another and achieve on each one of those Saturdays, and then go back to work and be as consistent a team as we can, gain momentum through the season, and keep getting better. So long-winded answer, but it's a lot of things. It's not as simple as just saying, we got to get bigger and stronger.
One of the things you guys did so well last year was finding a variety of different ways to win. How do you sort of carry that momentum and continue to do that?
Well, I think you call upon those experiences. I think the ebbs and flows of a season, the ebbs and flows of a game are such that, you're going to have highs, you're going to have some lows, and you have to find a way through those. You can't, get so ahead of yourself because you got this lead that you put the brakes on, nor can you get so down in the dumps because all of a sudden you got a deficit. You got to believe in one another, look to the guy each way, and figure it out within each of those situations. So continue to preach it, I guess, just what we're playing for. And when you're playing for something greater than yourself, there's a lot of power in that.
How has Brendan Hall looked so far in the limited time that he's been here?
Very good. Yeah, he's. I think everything we thought as far as his leg strength. So, kicking off, he has experience in games kicking off for 2 seasons, and what I've seen, that looks every bit as impressive as we thought it would. And I think from a punting perspective, which he punted 2 years ago at SMU, that's been very impressive. We haven't gone through the place kicking aspect a whole lot. I've seen him do it, but I mean, that comes into play much more when you can put 21 other guys out there, and you can put some pressure on, and you have to execute the whole operation. But feel really pleased with not only what he's been able to show us physically, but then also who he is as a person. Very determined young man, and very much about the craft of specialists, kicking, punting. In his case, he's doing 3 different things. It's not just 2. So excited to see what he can do kind of on a day-to-day basis here.
So there's a chance he could start at place kicker?
Well, he's definitely vying for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Is he the tallest player you've ever coached?
Boy, that's a good question. I think he'd be right up there. I know when we had him here for a spring practice, and I think everybody thought he was a basketball recruit. So he certainly fits that bill. But he's a long-levered kicker and punter. I know that.
When talking about the mental component, I guess, is there anything you guys have emphasized over the summer, and I guess continue to emphasize as fall camp gets going?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to January. I think one of the things I really appreciate about Sean Heron, he's not just lived on the physical side. He's really dove in, because he's around those guys every day, and he went through. He created a plan and went through it on a daily basis to touch on a mental aspect, working through adversity, coming together as a team, how you handle, the different things that come your way, which we can control is how we respond. And that was a concerted effort by him. So that's where it started. Our CATS Council, which is our leadership group, has went into, a full form as far as studying that even further. Going through book study and leadership training, and then taking that to the team. So there's certainly some practical pieces to that, but there's the organic piece to leadership and mental training that can happen kind of on a daily basis in the weight room, on the practice field, and ultimately then on the game field. So our guys have been deliberate about it. I think it's important that our leadership group identifies where we're at as far as maybe the deficiency, and continues to push forward.
Who's in that leadership group this year?
We have 15 guys on it, and it's made up of a representative from at least each position group, and then each class, with the exception of the freshmen. I can rattle them off. I could get you that, but it's a representative. It's not just seniors. It's seniors, juniors, and we have the good fortune. We have a lot of 5th and 6th year guys. So a lot of guys that have been around through quite a bit, and they've certainly lived the last couple of seasons on the field, but the preceding 2 years of not playing and redshirting or being a part of the 19 season and the success there. So, a lot of guys that have seen quite a bit in their time here, have seen how the leadership side should go. The great leaders we've had the last couple of years in particular, and made it their own.
Now that it's the sort of narrative of a program transition is sort of behind us now, that it's year 3. So have you seen leadership change in that element with guys that are now older but have been in the your program for several years?
Yeah, I think so. I think anytime you transition, there's a different way of doing things in some aspect, not all aspects, but some. And the biggest thing I would probably point to is how our off season is with Coach Heron, because he was new right before I was new, and how we practice in spring and fall. And yeah, so I think they understand the approach we're taking on both why we're doing it, and they're able to, I think, articulate that to the younger players differently than it would have been 2 years ago, or even last year. And I think just getting used to a coaching staff in general, about how we lead. We want to be coach-led but player-driven, and I think this group really gets that. And it's just every year you go along, you hope that everybody involved understands what you're trying to do a little bit better each year, and I'd say that's the case.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road, pump it up, oh yeah.
What are your expectations for that running back from heading into fall camp? I know that Julius Davis obviously was an off-season addition.
Well, we're starting today with a better situation for depth than we were a year ago. I know that. Plenty of competition to unfold. If you look at spring, Elijah was healthy, but Lane wasn't out there. Jared was coming back. We were still running Marquette, running back a little bit. Hadn't added Julius at that point. Garrett Kuhn was coming off of an injury-filled health issue season. So, we were still a work in progress very much in the spring, and now we're healthy. So all those guys in that mix, have a chance for what's in front of them. And I would suspect that it'll be a by committee situation, but we'll see how the next couple weeks unfold. And that's a really important group that we allow opportunities to show what they can do. A lot of the reason that you do go live at all is to see what that position in particular can do with the ball in their hand. And excited about at the addition of Julius. Julius is a guy that was highly touted out of high school. Had a senior injury as senior in high school. That kind of slowed things down for him. And at the same time he gets there, Jonathan Taylor's there, Braylon Allen's out, and ends up there, and he ends up on the outside looking in. And fortunate that Coach Johnson was here, because I think there was a trust in their relationship both ways, that Julius would, be able to come here, go after it, not assume anything, and, see how it all unfolds. So, the makings of a really strong group, and that's something we just could never really say at any real good time last year, maybe until we got into the postseason. So, excited about it. The additions of Scott Trey Humphrey and Adam Jones, Colson Kuhn as freshmen. I think all those guys have bright futures as well.
Speaking of rushing, starts up front obviously with the offensive line. So what have they that room kind of been working on this summer to keep that consistency and making sure that it's a strength, deep into the postseason? Yeah,
you don't graduate anybody that played, but you have a new coach, and I think that was the big transition, a big transition from January through the end of the semester, and really felt good about how that unfolded. They gravitated Coach Johnson very well. I think he came in and really listened to them and learned from them as well. And that's how collaborative that has to be. So where do we move? We go moving forward. I think all those guys are that much more experienced. They've had another off season in the weight room, but there's plenty of competition. Because outside the 7 guys that played, Titan Fleischman hasn't played much yet, but he's a guy we know that will factor in. Connor Moore's a guy that's played just a little bit. We know he'll factor in. So, that's really exciting. The one injury of note right now that did pop up in the summer is Cole Sane. Cole had got hurt last fall at Northern Colorado. If you remember, it was an injury he was able to come back from during the season, but he re-injured it this summer and has had a surgery that will probably take him out for this season. So you take Cole out, but nonetheless, I think we got a lot of guys that are hungry and really honing in on what they do well. So I know last year that was highlighting their athleticism, and we did that with the outside zone game probably in particular. So my hope is this year that beyond that we can be a little bit more powerful when we need to. We can pass block maybe at a higher rate than we did last year, and just expand maybe within the scope of what they do well, so we can do more on offense.
I guess speaking of Cole, what does the injury outlook look like heading into fall camp?
Yeah, so Cole, and that's been a pretty recent development, just with the length of time, I guess, for him. In addition, Taco Dollar got hurt during spring, did have a shoulder surgery at the beginning of May. So his return is going to be there at some point. When exactly, I don't want to pinpoint that right now, but there's going to be an opportunity for Taco to return. And Taco that's a definite loss. He was such a stabilizing force in the punt return game last year, and then he was continuing to come along as far as his contribution on the offense. So, unfortunate it happened. He'll miss some time, but he's got a bright future ahead of him beyond this year. But I do think there's going to be absolutely an opportunity for him to come back sometime this season.
And I guess, looking at that receiver group still, you got Ty, bringing Ty and Junior, and I guess looking at that group now without Taco for however long that is,
yeah.
what expectations for that group?
I think high expectations. I know, you start with returning Cleveland. That was not something we had planned on necessarily, but then he's able to, get his seventh year of college football, which is crazy enough. But there's more than him out there in the college football world right now. And it was neat to see. It wasn't a matter of us having to say, hey, come back. He saw it as that season went along, and his feeling of his role growing, but more so just what it felt like to really be part of our program and part of this team, and he wanted more of that. So we moved him to the outside at the tail end a little bit more, and then we made that full scale in the spring. So expect him to have a big year. Ty McCullough brings an element of speed that I don't think we've had. Ty can flat out run, and there was glimpses of that in the spring, but he's had a real good summer, and look for him to be able to stretch the field. Junior Alexander is this bigger bodied guy that really has a good feel inside. So excited about what he brings. The one that's had been here that I think has really made some strides is Christian Naya. Christian had the big spring game, or the spring game at least, where he said, okay, that's what we're looking for. And then he's followed it up with a really good summer. And it doesn't end there. I know Marquis will go back out to receiver now and be able to, sort of a dual role. We got to find ways to get the ball in his hands, and doing it in part from the receiver position will be part of our start. So I think we got more playmaking ability this time than we maybe did last year. Getting Taco back will be great at some point, but feel really good about that group. And again, I like the running back position. There's things that will need to unfold here in the next few weeks.
A Marquis full-time receiver, at least at this point?
Well, I think he's going to be classified as a receiver. He's a jack of all trades. I think, how much teams will kick to him, I don't know, but that'll provide opportunities there to touch the ball. And then we got to find ways offensively, whether it's lining him up in the backfield, out at receiver, bringing him in motion just to get him the ball. And it's good. He was able to get a little bit more of a foundation running back wise in the spring to add to the receiver, and just to try to make him as multifaceted as we can.
Is he going to punt return, or is somebody else?
I think the punt return position is up for grabs. I know Ty McCullough's got some experience. Marquis really worked at it, and I think that's something that will have to play out. There's dependability and trust beyond just the explosive nature that you're looking for in that position. It's such a big swing, just the guy's willingness to go feel the ball and be able to judge a ball, and whoever probably does that the best will get the job, versus just who's the flat explosive, most explosive when they do catch it.
And just to confirm, Kagan's no longer with the program, is he?
Yeah, so Kagan's injury ended up being career-ending. So that was a really unfortunate deal. I know we had hope with the surgery that he had that he would get to go ahead in the spring, and it just it didn't make sense. And it was unfortunate because I know he really wanted to cap his college career out here, but we had to remind him that, on the front end of coming here, he had a really good college career, and sometimes it just doesn't happen how you want it to. So appreciate him coming here and really trying to go after it, but it didn't work out.
Is he going to kind of stick with the team this fall still? Or
No, so he's done with us. We moved on with things. There's some caveats beyond your fifth year as far as coaching, and he doesn't fit that bill. He wasn't going to be in grad school. You have to be in grad school to fit that post 5 year those requirements to be a coach.
All right, let's let Tommy in.
Thanks, Coach.
J&V Restaurant Supply has been your home for everything tailgating for the last 45 years. Stop into one of our 3 locations to pick up everything you will need to make your tailgate a winner. From bar gadgets to all the professional cooking tools you'll need to score big with your buddies, the public is always welcome. And to celebrate our 45th anniversary, J&V is offering drone delivery. Maybe we'll just use the truck. Go Cats!
Tommy, I guess first of all, what's your outlook and mindset heading into this fall camp?
We got opportunities to get better for the season, I suppose. We only have so many opportunities. I think spring was a great 15, practices, a couple scrimmages in there to help project us, for the season. I think the summer we've really taken advantage of it. I think this is like the next phase, basically, before, we actually have teams coming in here to compete with and for us to be sending out going other places. So, get a couple more chances to keep getting better.
Off seasons are always filled with hard work, no matter what college football program. But is there anything different you guys did this off season?
I just think Coach Vigen kind of hit on it there a little bit. I think Coach Herron, he does an amazing job with us, for the physics or the physical aspect of, training. I think we did a great job with conditioning, lifting, all speed-based stuff, explosive-based stuff. But he did it, he does a great job with the mental side as well, the training piece, because there's so much about, there's so much mental training that goes into, football, I suppose, because there's so many ups and downs, and just being able to persevere through whatever it might be and train that throughout, the entire year is, you can't replace it. So his efforts into that have been great, and I think that I'm excited to see how guys kind of, use them here coming into the fall for fall camp.
And knowing how close you guys have been the last 2 years, how much does that just impact your mentality these last couple months and going into this year?
Yeah, each season is completely new. There's so much. There's certainly a carryover with players and with scheme and stuff like that. But I think that obviously people know and they have the confidence to know that we are one of the best teams in the nation, and I think that's the expectation. That's what we're striving for. But there's so much, luck with health and other factors that you can't really, obviously you can prepare, you can be proactive about it, take care of yourself, and obviously we'll preach that, but there's never, guarantee with any of that stuff. So I think it's just, I think with the past couple of years, it's for sure given us confidence, but it's also, we know how easily that can, be taken away from you. So I think it's just, there's a lot of hunger left still, and, we still got a lot of stuff to prove, so.
You'll probably be able to answer this better in a month or two, but what's different about this team? Do you notice anything that's different just in sort of the identity or makeup of it?
I don't know. I think we have a lot of guys from last year as well. I don't think that we're the same team for sure. I think we have a lot of new additions that have been great pieces, to complete that puzzle. I don't know. I feel like every single team is just a little bit different. And like you said, that month, 2 months in, you can really see, where they're at, like what the difference is. But I think the fall camp will be a good indicator to see where we're at, and how we're kind of different than the last couple of teams. There's not much. There's certainly like physical stress, and there's a lot of challenging pieces in the weight room, but there's as I said, there's the mental toughness we've been working on, but there's very little tests, that you don't get to replicate like you do out on the field. So throughout fall camp, we'll see how guys respond, and we'll see kind of what this team's all about.
Entering year 2 with Sean, I guess how you feeling about that 2 QB system and just another year with him?
I'm excited. I'm glad that he's here for another year. I think last year was extremely exciting, building a relationship with him. I'm super glad that he's still here in that room. I'm continuing to learn from him. He's been a great, leader with some of the younger guys as well. And I'm excited for him to be back for the fall. We missed him in the spring, but I'm excited for him to be back through practice and ready for the season with him, yeah.
You talked about wanting to run you guys a little bit less this year. Is that as simple as kind of play calling differences, or are you going to have to scramble less? Is that something you've been working on at all?
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with play call. I think we had quite a lot of designed quarterback runs last year, just because we obviously it was unfortunate with all the injuries in the running back room. So we had to adapt in some way, and that's kind of what we went to for quite a few games, a lot of +1 running game with the quarterback. And I think when he talks about that, it's a little bit different with, play calling, with what we've been practicing, how we've been preparing, and just growing up, getting to know more and seeing more, just seeing more on the field, getting more experience as it helps you out. So I think mainly it'll be a play call sort of situation. Certainly, scramble, it's always, the defense has always got 7 or 8 guys dropping, and we only have 4 guys running routes. So, the numbers aren't always advantageous. So, if you have that opportunity to run, very, very few times they, account for that, defense coordinator. So, it's obviously a huge, something that you won't shy away from. But yeah, there's probably going to be fewer quarterback runs that are designated like that.
And then adding Julius Davis, what have been your thoughts on him so far?
Yeah, I think Coach Vigen talked about it for a second, but we're excited to get these running backs, all of them in pads, to see, kind of where they're at. I think Julius has done a great job, showing us who he is, like, as a person, growing in our locker room, getting to know guys. I think he's very high character, does things the right way. He's a great, addition to our team in that sense. But I think, like, physically and talent-wise, I think that he'll be great for us, but you can't really say until you get out there on the field. So I'm excited for tomorrow, see what he can do. I'm sure he's excited as well. I think he's, certainly, excited to show what he's got. So, yeah.
You guys had so many injuries last year, but didn't really miss a beat. How much confidence does that give you guys that you can sort of endure that sort of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that it's, just training that mentality of you can persevere through anything, and it's that constant effort and attention to detail, and it's that stuff that we drive home week in and week out. And, certainly last year it would have been easy for us to, sink our heads after, or when we started, against that Oregon State there, and we didn't have, one of our running backs really left, or very few, and, just keep on going there into Big Sky play. We had so many injuries in the running back room, which was such we had such depth last year to begin the season, and it was, but obviously we have guys that were able to step up, lower down on the depth chart, the running back room that did great. And the rest of the team, we just knew we were going to be persevering. We were going to do our job regardless of what that situation was in that room. And we were going to support the guys that were injured ultimately, because, we have people in there that are, far away from home, that are struggling with injuries right now. And so, obviously they came here to play football. They came here to be at school, and it's tough for them to do that stuff. So you got to support those guys as well.
Just a few minutes. Small business owners can now sign up for Blackfoot Communications services. Whether it's dependable voice options or internet services, sign up simply by visiting blackfootsmallbusiness.com. Click on the services you wish, select an installation time and date, and you're done. Small business services at the touch of your fingers. Connect to more with Blackfoot Communications and blackfootsmallbusiness.com.
How much the way you guys practice with all the double rep stuff, how much does that help get a variety of guys ready?
No, I think it does a ton of things. Obviously there's just so much foot contact, there's stress on your body, and that prepares you for the games, but then it teaches you how to play smart, because you can't, if you only have a few reps here and there, you can go out, 100%, but that's not what it's like in a game, and so almost getting those reps and seeing it more and more times, and figuring out how to play, with a great effort, but not in an effort that is putting your body, in stress that you could get injured from. It almost trains yourself, how to be safe as you play as well. And so, I think that's, it's invaluable to talk about how much it helps us.
I know Vigen mentioned Cole being out this year, but I guess bringing the majority of that offensive line back, how does that feel as a quarterback?
Yeah, no, it's great. I think, we have a great group in there, a lot of really close guys, that give great effort every single day, a lot of trust in them, what they've done this offseason, and they've continued to be, that hungry group that, continues to have stuff to prove. They've done a great job, gaining weight, maintaining weight, being detailed, knowing their assignments. So I'm excited to see, kind of how that relationship continues, and kind of how they meld together again, just kind of through this stress period of fall camp.
All right. Thanks, Tommy.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any town pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Town